Richard Kane pressed his face against the cold metal window of the ship and watched the alien planet grow bigger and bigger. The world below looked like a giant blue marble covered in silver cities that sparkled like diamonds in the sunlight. After 3 long years of talking to these aliens through radio messages, humans were finally going to meet them face to face. Kane had been a soldier before he became a diplomat. He knew how to fight, but he also knew how to talk. That was why Earth's leaders picked him for this job. He was supposed to make friends with the Zarian Collective, a group of 12 different alien species that controlled a huge part of the galaxy. If he could make a deal with them, Earth would be safe, and humans could learn amazing new things. The ship was called Terra Nova, and it was the best Earth had to offer. Kane was not alone on this trip. He had brought 3 other people with him. Lisa Morgan was a language expert who could speak 20 different Earth languages and was learning the alien ones too. Jack Harper was a colonel who knew everything about fighting and weapons. Susan Blake was a communications officer who could work any radio or computer system ever made. Kane walked away from the window and looked at his team. They were all sitting around a metal table in the ship's main room, studying papers and computer screens. Lisa was practicing alien words, her lips moving silently as she tried to get the sounds right. Jack was reading reports about alien weapons and military strength. Susan was checking all the communication equipment for the 100th time. Much longer until we reached the meeting point? Kane asked the ship's captain, Roy Davis. Davis looked at his instruments. About 6 hours, sir. The alien station should be visible soon. Kane nodded and sat down with his team, picked up a thick folder full of papers and opened it. Inside were all the offers Earth wanted to make to the aliens. Humans could give them food, metals, and other materials the aliens needed. Earth also had smart people who could solve problems and help with research. In return, humans wanted to learn how to travel faster between stars, how to cure diseases better, and most importantly, how to protect Earth from other dangerous aliens. Richard, are you worried about anything? Lisa asked, looking up from her language studies. Kane thought for a moment. I keep thinking about what we know about these aliens. They seem friendly in their messages, but we have never actually seen them, except in pictures. What if they are not as nice as they pretend to be? Jack Harper put down his report. I have been thinking the same thing. Their military is very strong. They control 12 different species, which means they either convince them to join or force them to join. Either way, they have a lot of power. Susan Blake looked worried. The messages we got from them were very polite, but they also seemed too good to be true. They promised us so many things, but they did not ask for very much in return. That makes me nervous. Kane understood their concerns because he had the same ones, but Earth's government had made the decision to try diplomacy first. Humans were alone in the galaxy as far as they knew, and they needed allies. The Zarian Collective seemed like the best choice. We have to try, Kane said. If we can make friends with them, Earth will be safe for the first time since we discovered we were not alone in the universe. If we do not try, we might always be looking over our shoulders, wondering when someone might attack us. The hours passed slowly. Kane read through the negotiation plans again and again. Earth scientists had worked for months to prepare these offers. They had studied every message from the aliens, looking for clues about what they might want. The aliens had talked about peace, cooperation, and mutual benefit. They said they wanted to help younger species like humans learn and grow. When the alien station finally appeared on the ship's main screen, Kane felt his breath catch in his throat. The thing was enormous, bigger than any building on Earth. It looked like a giant metal flower with dozens of arms reaching out in all directions. Lights blinked along its surface like stars, and ships moved around it like tiny insects. That is Nexus Station, Captain Davis announced. The aliens say it is neutral ground where different species can meet safely. Kane watched as their ship got closer to the station. He could see other alien ships docked at various arms of the structure. Some were smooth and silver, others were dark and angular, and a few looked like they were made of crystal or some other material he did not recognize. Remember what we talked about? Kane told his team. We smile, we are polite, and we listen more than we talk. We want to learn about them before we make any big decisions. Lisa nodded nervously. I have been studying their language, but I am still not sure I understand all the subtle meanings. Some of their words can mean different things depending on how you say them. Jack Harper checked his sidearm, making sure it was properly secured. I still think we should have brought more security. We are supposed to be showing them that we come in peace, Kane reminded him. Too many weapons might send the wrong message. Susan Blake was monitoring the communication channels. They are sending us docking instructions now. They want us to dock at Arm 7 of the station. As the Terra Nova moved toward the designated docking port, Kane felt a mixture of excitement and anxiety. This was the most important moment in human history. Everything that happened in the next few days could determine whether Earth became part of a galactic community or remained isolated and vulnerable. The docking process was smooth and automated. Kane was impressed by the alien technology. Their systems were more advanced than anything humans had developed. As soon as the ship was secured, a message came through on the communication system. "Welcome to Nexus Station, representatives of Earth," the voice said in perfect English. "I am Zix9, leader of the Zarian High Council. We are honored by your presence and look forward to beginning our discussions." Kane picked up the communicator. "Thank you for your welcome, Zix9. I am Richard Kane, ambassador from Earth. We are grateful for this opportunity to meet with you." "Excellent," the alien voice replied. "We have prepared quarters for you and your team. A guide will escort you shortly. Tonight we will hold a reception in your honor so you can meet representatives from all 12 member species of our collective." Kane looked at his team. They all seemed nervous but ready. This was what they had trained for, what they had traveled across the galaxy to do. In a few hours, they would be face to face with aliens for the first time in human history. "We are ready," Kane said into the communicator. As they waited for their alien guide, Kane went over the plan one more time in his head. They would attend the reception, meet the alien leaders, and begin preliminary discussions. Over the next few days, they would present Earth's proposals and hopefully reach some kind of agreement that would benefit both sides. Kane had no way of knowing that the aliens had very different plans for this meeting. He could not have imagined that the friendly messages and polite words were all part of a carefully planned trap. As he prepared to step onto the alien station, he was thinking about the future of human civilization and the possibilities that lay ahead. The door to their ship opened with a soft hiss, and Kane took his first step into what he believed would be a new chapter in human history. He had no idea that he was walking toward his death, and that his murder would unleash a fury that would shake the entire galaxy. The alien who came to meet them looked nothing like humans had expected. It was tall and thin, made of what appeared to be living crystal that changed colors as it moved. When it spoke, the sounds came from somewhere inside its body, and the words were perfectly clear. "I am Guide 7, the creature said, its crystal body shifting from blue to green. Please follow me to your quarters. The High Council is eager to meet the representatives of Earth." Kane and his team followed the alien through corridors that seemed to stretch on forever. The walls were covered in moving pictures that showed different alien worlds and species. Some of the creatures in the images looked friendly, while others appeared dangerous and violent. Kane noticed that all of them seemed to be bowing or kneeling to the crystal beings like their guide. "Your station is very impressive," Kane said, trying to make conversation. "How long did it take to build?" "Many cycles," Guide 7 replied without turning around. "The collective has resources from 12 worlds. When species join us, they contribute their best materials and workers." Lisa Morgan walked close to Kane and whispered, "Did you notice he said when species join, not if they join? That is strange wording." Kane nodded, but kept walking. Maybe it was just a translation problem. The alien languages were complex. Small mistakes in meaning were possible. Their quarters were luxurious by human standards. Each person had their own room with a large bed, a viewing window that showed the stars, and a bathroom with running water. The main living area had comfortable furniture and a table loaded with food that looked safe for humans to eat. "Rest now, Guide 7 said. In 3 hours, you will be escorted to the reception hall. All the important leaders will be there to meet you." After the alien left, Kane gathered his team in the main room. Jack Harper immediately began checking the walls and furniture for listening devices or hidden cameras. Susan Blake set up a small device that would scramble any recording equipment in the room. Lisa Morgan sat down and opened her notebook to review alien cultural information. "Something feels wrong," Jack said quietly. "Did you see how the other aliens looked at us when we walked through the station? They were not curious or friendly. They looked at us like we were already prisoners." Susan nodded. "I have been monitoring their communication channels. Most of the traffic is encrypted, but I caught a few words here and there. They keep using a word that means acquisition when they talk about us." Kane frowned. "Acquisition? It's like they want to buy something from us? Or buy us?" Lisa said softly. "In some of their languages, the same word can mean both to purchase goods and to take possession of territory." Kane walked to the window and looked out at the alien ships surrounding the station. There were hundreds of them, all armed with weapons he did not recognize. If the aliens wanted to attack Earth, this many ships could probably destroy every major city on the planet. "Let's not jump to conclusions," he said. "We came here to make friends, and that is what we are going to try to do. Maybe we are just nervous because everything is new and different." 3 hours later, Guide 7 returned to escort them to the reception. The main hall was enormous, with a ceiling so high that Kane could barely see the top. Hundreds of aliens filled the space, representing species that humans had never seen before. Some walked on 2 legs like humans, others slithered, or floated or moved in ways that seemed impossible. At the center of the hall was a raised platform where 12 crystal beings stood in a circle. These were clearly the leaders of the Zarian collective. The one in the middle was larger than the others, and its crystal body was darker, almost black with veins of silver running through it. "Welcome, humans of Earth," the large crystal being said, its voice echoing through the hall. "I am Zixneen, first speaker of the High Council. We greet you in the name of galactic peace and cooperation." Kane stepped forward and bowed slightly, as Earth's diplomatic protocol suggested. "Thank you, Zixneen. I'm Richard Kane speaking. For all of humanity. We are honored to be here and hope this meeting will benefit both our peoples." The alien crowd made sounds that might have been applause or something else entirely. Kane could not tell if they were happy or angry about his words. Zixneen gestured to the other crystal beings. "Allow me to introduce the High Council. Which represents one of our member species, all united in common purpose under collective guidance." As the introductions continued, Kane began to notice things that made him uncomfortable. The other aliens in the hall never looked directly at the crystal beings. When a council member spoke, every other creature in the room immediately stopped, talking and listened. Most disturbing of all, Kane could see what looked like metal collars around the necks of some of the non-crystal aliens. "Now," Zixneen said, "let us discuss the terms of Earth's integration into our collective." Kane felt his stomach drop. "Integration? I think there might be some misunderstanding. Came here to discuss trade agreements and mutual cooperation, not integration." Crystal being made a sound that might have been laughter. "But integration is what we offer to all species. It is much more efficient than the primitive concept of separate nations trading with each other." Lisa Morgan stepped closer to Kane. "Richard," she whispered urgently, "integration in their language means absorption. They're talking about taking over Earth." Zixneen apparently heard her words. "Your language specialist is correct. We find that independent species cause nothing but trouble with their wars and conflicts. It's much better for everyone when they become part of our organized system." Kane felt anger rising in his chest, but he forced himself to stay calm. "Earth values its independence. We appreciate your offer, but we would prefer to remain a separate nation while building friendly relationships with the collective." "That is not possible," another council member said. This one's crystal body was red with black spots. "All species in this sector of the galaxy must choose, join the collective willingly, or be forced to join after we demonstrate our power." Jack Harper's hand moved instinctively toward his weapon, but Kane caught his arm. "Starting a fight here would mean certain death for all of them. Perhaps we could discuss this privately," Kane suggested. "There might be options we have not considered." Zixneen nodded. "Excellent suggestion. Council members, please escort our guests to Conference Room Alpha. We will have a more detailed conversation there. Tried to think of a way out of this situation. Aliens clearly had no intention of treating Earth as an equal partner. They wanted to add humanity to their collection of enslaved species. The conference room was smaller than the main hall, but still impressive. A large table dominated the center, surrounded by chairs designed for different types of alien bodies. Kane and his team sat on one side, while the 12 council members took positions on the other side. "Let us be direct," Zixneen said, leaning forward. "Your species has resources we need. Your planet is in a strategic location. Your people would make adequate workers once properly trained. Resistance is pointless because we have the military strength to take what we want. We offer you the choice to surrender peacefully." Kane stood up slowly. "And if we refuse, then your planet will be bombarded from orbit until nothing lives on its surface. We will take the resources anyway, and your species will become extinct." This has happened before with stubborn civilizations. The room fell silent. Kane looked at his team members and saw fear in their eyes, but also determination. They had come here hoping to make friends, and had instead discovered that Earth was being threatened with complete destruction. "We will need time to consider." "Your proposal," Kane said carefully. ZYX-9 made that laughing sound again. "Time. You misunderstand the situation. You will give us your answer now, or we will make the decision for you." Where Kane realized that they were trapped. The aliens had never intended to negotiate. This whole meeting was just a way to deliver an ultimatum. Earth would either submit to slavery or face extinction. "In that case," Kane said, standing as tall as he could, "I give you humanity's answer. We will never surrender our freedom to anyone." What happened next changed everything. Zixneen's crystal body began to glow with a bright red light. The other council members moved away from the table, and Kane suddenly realized they had been expecting this moment all along. "Your answer is unacceptable," Zixneen said, his voice becoming deeper and more threatening. "Perhaps a demonstration will help you understand your situation better." The crystal being reached into what looked like empty air, but Kane saw him pull out a weapon that seemed to be made of pure energy. It crackled with electricity and made a humming sound that hurt to hear. "Wait," Kane said, raising his hands. "We can talk about this. There must be some way to reach an agreement." "The time for talking is over," Zixneen replied. "Species needs to learn that defying the collective has consequences." Jack Harper jumped to his feet and reached for his weapon, but he was too slow. Zixneen pointed the energy weapon at Kane's chest and fired. The blast hit Kane with tremendous force, throwing him backward against the wall. His body convulsed as electricity coursed through him, and the smell of burning flesh filled the room. "Richard," Lisa Morgan screamed, running toward Kane's fallen body. Another council member, this one with a blue crystal body, fired at Lisa before she could reach Kane. The energy blast caught her in the back. She collapsed to the floor next to the ambassador. Her body twitched once, and then became still. Jack Harper managed to draw his sidearm and fire 3 shots at Zixneen. The bullets bounced off the crystal being's body like they were made of rubber. Jack tried to run toward the door, but alien guards had already entered the room. They surrounded him and fired their weapons simultaneously. Jack's body was thrown across the room, his uniform smoking from multiple energy wounds. Susan Blake had been trying to activate her emergency communicator when the shooting started. She pressed the distress button and began speaking quickly into the device. "Earth Command, this is Blake. The aliens have attacked us. Kane is down, Lisa is down, Jack is down. They are trying to kill us all. Do not trust the Zarian Collective. They want to invade Earth. They want to enslave humanity. Tell everyone to prepare for war." Zixneen walked calmly over to Susan and looked down at her. "An admirable attempt, but your message will never reach Earth. We have been blocking all communications from this station since you arrived." "You are wrong," Susan said, blood running from her mouth. "This communicator uses quantum entanglement. Nothing can block it. The crystal being's glow became brighter, and you have just signed your species' death warrant. We had planned to give Earth more time to consider surrender. Now we will attack immediately." Zixneen raised his weapon and fired point-blank at Susan's head. The energy blast was so powerful that it left nothing but a burned mark on the floor. Where she had been kneeling, Kane was still alive, but barely. His body was broken and burned, but his mind was still working. He could hear everything the aliens were saying, and he understood what was about to happen to Earth. With his last breath, he whispered, "Humanity, ... will never give this." Zixneen heard the words and laughed. "Species will not survive long enough for forgiveness to matter." The crystal being turned to the other council members. "Send the message to our invasion fleet. Begin the attack on Earth immediately. Sure to record everything so other species can see what happens. To those who refuse our generous offers." Back on the Terra Nova, Captain Roy Davis was becoming worried. The diplomatic team had been on the alien station for 8 hours. There had been no communication since their initial arrival. Davis had tried to contact them several times, but the station claimed they were in important meetings and could not be disturbed, sir. His communications officer said, "I am picking up some kind of signal from the station. It is not on any of our normal channels." "Put it on the main screen," Davis ordered. What appeared on the screen made Davis's blood run cold. It was a holographic recording of the conference room, showing the dead bodies of Kane and his team. Zixneen stood in the center of the image, his crystal body glowing with satisfaction. "Greetings, humans of the ship Terra Nova," the alien said. "Your diplomatic mission has been terminated. Your representatives have been eliminated as a demonstration of collective power and resolve. You have 72 of your hours to return to Earth and deliver our ultimatum to your leaders." The image changed to show massive alien warships gathering near a swirling portal of energy. Davis counted at least 500 ships, each one larger than anything in Earth's navy. "Your planet will surrender all defensive systems and prepare for immediate occupation," Zixneen continued. "Your population will be relocated to work facilities where they will serve the collective's needs. Any resistance will result in the complete sterilization of your world and the extinction of your species. We have done this before to civilizations that refused our generosity." The message ended, but not before showing one final image. It was Earth itself, as seen from space, retargeting crosshairs overlaid on every major city. Davis immediately activated the ship's quantum communicator and sent an emergency transmission to Earth Command. The message included the alien recording, Susan Blake's final distress call, and Davis's own assessment of the situation. "This is Captain Davis of the Terra Nova," he said into the communicator. "The diplomatic mission has failed. All team members are dead, murdered by the aliens. The Zarian Collective is preparing to invade Earth. They have hundreds of warships and advanced weapons. They are demanding complete surrender. Request immediate instructions." The response from Earth came within minutes. It was President Helen Carter herself speaking directly to Davis. "Captain, get your ship out of there immediately and return to Earth at maximum speed. We have received your transmission and are calling an emergency session of the Global Defense Council. The alien ultimatum is unacceptable. Earth will never surrender to these murderers." Davis ordered his crew to prepare for immediate departure. As the Terra Nova pulled away from Nexus Station, he took one last look at the massive alien structure. Somewhere inside that place, the bodies of 4 brave humans lay dead, killed for the crime of trying to make peace. The journey back to Earth took 36 hours at maximum speed. During that time, Davis and his crew monitored alien communications and watched as the Zarian invasion fleet continued to grow. More ships arrived every hour, coming through the energy portal from various parts of the galaxy. When the Terra Nova finally reached Earth's solar system, Davis was amazed by what he saw. The planet was preparing for war on a scale never before imagined. Orbital defense platforms that had been under construction for years were being rushed to completion. Military bases around the world were launching every available spacecraft. Even civilian ships were being converted into makeshift warships. Davis received new orders as soon as he entered Earth's communication range. He was to proceed directly to the Global Defense Command Center and deliver a full report to the assembled leaders of every nation on Earth. The meeting took place in an underground bunker deep beneath the mountains of North America. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, and admirals from every country sat around a massive table. watching the alien recordings with expressions of horror and rage. "Ladies and gentlemen," President Carter said after the recordings ended, "we face a choice that will determine the future of our species. We can surrender to these aliens and accept slavery for all humanity, or we can fight back with everything we have." General Paul Morrison, the highest-ranking military officer on Earth, stood up to address the assembly. "The aliens have made a critical error. They have given us advance warning instead of launching a surprise attack. They have shown us their true nature instead of maintaining their peaceful deception. Most importantly, they have underestimated what humans are capable of when our survival is threatened." The debate that followed was brief but intense. Some leaders argued for attempting further negotiation. Others suggested trying to hide or evacuate Earth's population. But the majority reached the same conclusion as they listened to the alien ultimatum again and again. "They murdered our people in cold blood," the British Prime Minister said. "They filmed it to terrorize us. They threatened to enslave every man, woman, and child on Earth. There can be no compromise with such evil." The vote was unanimous. Every nation on Earth agreed to the same response. They would declare total war against the Zarian collective and fight until either humanity was free or extinct. President Carter's words echoed through the bunker and were broadcast simultaneously to every corner of the globe. "They killed our representative. They murdered Ambassador Kane and his team for the crime of seeking peace. They threaten our children, our families, our very existence. Today, humanity stands united as never before. We declare total war against the Zarian collective and all who serve them. We will not rest until every one of their worlds burns. We will show them what happens when you threaten the human race." The transformation of Earth from a peaceful civilization to a war machine began immediately. Within hours of declaring war, Earth began changing in ways that would have seemed impossible just days before. Every factory, laboratory, and military base received the same message: stop everything you are doing and focus on building weapons. To destroy the aliens, President Carter activated Protocol Omega, a secret plan that military leaders had been working on for decades. The protocol assumed that Earth might someday face an alien invasion. So scientists and engineers had been quietly developing weapons that could fight enemies with unknown technologies. Admiral Beth Adams received her new assignment while she was eating breakfast with her family. The phone call lasted only 2 minutes, but it changed her life forever. She was now in command of the first extermination fleet, a collection of every combat ship that Earth could put into space. "How many ships do we have?" she asked General Morrison during her first briefing. "Right now, we have the Dreadnought Washington, 12 heavy cruisers, 48 destroyers, and about 200 smaller attack ships," Morrison replied. "But that number is growing every hour. We are converting civilian ships, rushing unfinished military vessels into service, even launching ships that are not completely tested." Adams studied the reports on her desk. Earth's military had been preparing for possible conflicts with other human nations, not with advanced aliens. The weapons they had were powerful, but nobody knew if they would work against alien technology. "What about the special weapons?" she asked. "The ones from the secret projects?" Morrison smiled grimly. "Dr. Alan Price and his team have been waiting for permission to test their creations. Now they have it. Project Hellfire has produced antimatter bombs that can destroy entire continents. Project Blackout creates electromagnetic pulses that can shut down all electronic systems in a star system. Project Genesis has developed biological weapons designed specifically to target alien physiology." Adams felt a chill run down her spine. These were weapons that could kill billions of creatures in minutes. Under normal circumstances, using such weapons would be considered a war crime. But these were not normal circumstances. "How do we know the biological weapons will work?" she asked. "We have been studying alien DNA samples from their diplomatic messages," Dr. Price explained as he joined the meeting. "Every species that sent us genetic information for translation purposes has given us the data we need to target their biological systems. The weapons are designed to cause massive organ failure in any creature with their specific genetic markers." The first target was obvious to everyone: Zarian Prime, the homeworld of the species that had murdered Ambassador Kane. Earth wanted to send a message that would terrify every alien in the galaxy. We are not just going to defeat them, Adams told her fleet commanders during their planning meeting. We are going to make them suffer. We are going to show every species in the universe what happens when you threaten humanity. The Washington was Earth's largest and most powerful warship. It had been designed to fight other human vessels. But engineers were working around the clock to install the new alien-killing weapons. The ship's armor was reinforced with materials that could withstand energy weapons. Its missile systems were loaded with antimatter warheads. Most importantly, its communication arrays were equipped with psychological warfare equipment designed to broadcast terrifying messages to alien populations. While the fleet prepared for battle, intelligence officers worked to gather information about Zarian Prime. They studied every piece of data that the aliens had shared during the diplomatic negotiations, looking for weaknesses they could exploit. The planet has a population of 12 billion crystal beings, Captain Steve Roberts reported. Their cities are built entirely of living crystal that can repair itself when damaged. Their defense systems include orbital platforms, energy shields, and automated weapon systems. What about their military? Adams asked. Most of their warships are deployed with the invasion fleet heading toward Earth. The homeworld defense consists mainly of planetary weapons and space stations. They apparently believe their technology makes them invulnerable to attack. Adams studied the tactical displays showing Zarian Prime. The planet looked beautiful in the images, with crystal cities that sparkled like jewels and floating platforms that moved gracefully through the atmosphere. In a few days, all of that beauty would be turned to ash and radiation. How long until we can launch the attack? She asked. 72 hours, General Morrison replied. We need that time to finish loading the special weapons and brief the crews on alien combat tactics. During those 3 days, Earth's transformation continued at an incredible pace. Weapons factories that had been producing rifles and tanks were retooled to manufacture plasma cannons and gravitational disruptors. Universities canceled all classes and ordered their physics departments to work on improving the antimatter bombs. Even children were enlisted to help, sorting components and carrying messages between work sites. The most disturbing development was the creation of the Alien Research Division, a group of scientists whose job was to study ways to cause maximum psychological damage to enemy species. They analyzed alien communication patterns, social structures, and cultural values, looking for weaknesses that could be exploited. We have discovered that crystal beings like the Zarians place enormous value on their architectural achievements, Dr. Linda Hayes reported. Their cities are not just places to live, but works of art that represent thousands of years of cultural development. Destroying these cities will cause psychological trauma that goes far beyond the immediate casualties. Good, Adams replied. I want them to suffer for what they did to our people. When the 72 hours were up, the first extermination fleet launched from Earth orbit. The sight was unlike anything in human history. Hundreds of warships, ranging from massive dreadnoughts to small fighter craft, formed into attack formations and began their journey toward alien space. Admiral Adams stood on the bridge of the Washington, looking out at the fleet she commanded. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a major city. Together, they had the power to exterminate entire civilizations. All ships. This is Admiral Adams, she said over the fleet communication system. We are going to war against the aliens who murdered our diplomatic team. They think we are weak because we tried to make peace. They are about to learn how wrong they are. The journey to Zarian Prime took 18 hours at maximum hyperspace speed. During the trip, Adams reviewed the attack plan with her commanders. The assault would begin with electromagnetic pulse weapons that would disable all electronic systems on the planet. Then would come the antimatter bombs, targeting every major city and military installation. Finally, biological weapons would be deployed to kill any survivors. Remember, Adams told her captains, we are not just fighting a war. We are sending a message to every alien species in the galaxy. Humanity is not to be threatened or attacked. Anyone who tries will face complete annihilation. Emerged from hyperspace above Zarian Prime, Adams was struck by how peaceful the planet looked. The crystal cities glowed softly in the light of their sun, and orbital platforms moved in elegant patterns around the world. It was hard to believe that the creatures down there had murdered innocent diplomats in cold blood. All ships, begin. The attack, Adams ordered the electromagnetic pulse weapons fired first. Invisible beams of energy that traveled at the speed of light toward the planet's surface. Within seconds, every electronic device on Zarian Prime stopped working. The orbital defense platforms went dark. Communication networks failed. Even personal devices carried by individual aliens shut down permanently. In the chaos that followed, the crystal beings tried desperately to understand what was happening. Their beautiful cities, which had stood for thousands of years, suddenly became death traps as automated systems failed and transportation networks collapsed. Deploy antimatter weapons, Adams commanded. The Washington and its sister ships launched their terrible cargo toward the planet below. The antimatter bombs fell like deadly rain, each one capable of destroying everything within a 100-mile radius. When they detonated, the explosions were visible from space as brilliant flashes of light that turned crystal cities into expanding clouds of radioactive vapor. Adams watched the destruction through the ship's main viewer and felt no pity for the aliens dying below. They had chosen to be humanity's enemies. They were paying the price for that decision. Deploy biological weapons, she ordered. The final phase of the attack began as specially designed viruses were released into Zarian Prime's atmosphere. These microscopic killers had been created specifically to target the alien physiology, causing massive organ failure in any crystal being they encountered. Within 6 hours, Zarian Prime was a dead world. The destruction of Zarian Prime was just the beginning. Admiral Adams stood on the bridge of the Washington, watching the dead planet slowly rotate below them. Where beautiful crystal cities had once sparkled, now only glowing craters remained. The homeworld of the species that had murdered Ambassador Kane was nothing but a radioactive wasteland. Send a message to Earth Command, Adams ordered. Zarian Prime has been eliminated. Beginning Phase 2 of the extermination campaign. What followed became known throughout the galaxy as the Human Extermination Campaign. For the next 18 months, Earth's military forces systematically hunted down and destroyed every world that belonged to the Zarian Collective. It was not just warfare, it was the complete elimination of 12 entire species. The humans approached this task with terrifying efficiency. Each alien world was assigned to a specific battle group, and the attacks were carefully coordinated to prevent any effective resistance. Communication networks between planets were destroyed first, leaving each world isolated and helpless. Then came the industrial targets, making sure no new weapons or ships could be built. Finally, the population centers were attacked until nothing remained alive. Commander Jake Phillips led the assault on Valdris, a beautiful water world that served as the agricultural center for the collective. The planet was covered in vast oceans with floating farms that produced food for dozens of other worlds. Phillips had specific orders about how to destroy this world. Use the gravitational disruptors, Admiral Adams had told him. We want the other aliens to see what happens when they support our enemies. Phillips followed his orders exactly. The gravitational weapons tore apart the planet's oceans, creating massive tsunamis that destroyed every floating city and farm. The aliens who lived there tried to escape underwater, but the humans had biological weapons designed for aquatic species. Within days, Valdris became a dead ocean world with no life anywhere on its surface. Captain Marie Foster commanded the attack on Threnody, a world famous throughout the galaxy for its art and culture. The planet was home to the galaxy's largest libraries, museums, and concert halls. Aliens from hundreds of species had visited through Nodi to experience its cultural treasures. Foster received special instructions for this mission. Destroy everything, General Morrison had told her. We want no trace of their culture to survive. Future generations should find nothing but empty ruins. Foster used a combination of plasma bombing and targeted biological weapons to eliminate not just the population, but every piece of art, literature, and music on the planet. Ancient libraries that contained the wisdom of thousands of years were burned to ash. Museums holding artifacts from across the galaxy were reduced to melted metal and glass. The humans wanted to send a message that supporting their enemies would result in the complete erasure of everything a species had ever accomplished. The campaign continued planet by planet, world by world. Each attack was more brutal than the last, as human commanders competed to see who could cause the most destruction. The aliens had expected their superior technology to protect them, but they had never faced an enemy that fought with such savage determination. General Chris Powell led the final major battle of the campaign. The assault on Nexus Station, where Ambassador Kane and his team had been murdered. Powell had requested this assignment personally because he wanted to destroy the place where human diplomats had died. The station was heavily defended with the most advanced weapons the collective could deploy. Energy shields protected it from direct attack, and automated defense systems could destroy incoming ships before they got close enough to fire their weapons. Under normal circumstances, attacking such a fortress would have been impossible. But Powell had advantages that the aliens did not expect. Human intelligence officers had been studying collective technology for months, looking for weaknesses they could exploit. They had discovered that the station's shields were designed to stop energy weapons and physical projectiles, but they were not prepared for the gravitational weapons that humans had developed. All ships, fire gravitational disruptors at maximum power, Powell ordered. The weapons created artificial gravity fields that twisted space itself around Nexus Station. The alien shields, designed to deflect incoming attacks, were torn apart by forces that attacked the very fabric of reality. Within minutes, the station's defenses collapsed completely. "Begin the assault," Powell commanded. Thousands of human Marines stormed through the station's corridors, hunting down every alien they could find. The crystal beings who had seemed so powerful and arrogant during the diplomatic meetings now begged for mercy. As human soldiers cornered them in their hiding places, Powell personally led the assault on the conference room where Kane had been. Murdered, he found Zixnine, the collective leader who had killed the human ambassador, cowering behind an overturned table. "Please," the crystal being pleaded, "we can negotiate. We can reach an agreement that benefits both our species." Powell looked down at the alien who had started this war by murdering innocent diplomats. "You had your chance to negotiate. You chose to kill our people instead." Powell raised his plasma rifle and fired, watching as the energy beam reduced Zixnine to a pile of melted crystal and ash. The being who had murdered Ambassador Kane was dead, but Powell felt no satisfaction. Too many humans had died to make this moment feel like a victory. The destruction of Nexus Station was broadcast live across the galaxy, showing other alien civilizations exactly what happened to species that threatened humanity. The massive structure, which had been a symbol of collective power for centuries, exploded in a brilliant flash of light that could be seen from neighboring star systems. When the 18-month campaign finally ended, 12 entire species had been eliminated from the galaxy. Their homeworlds were dead, their colonies destroyed, and their populations extinct. The former collective territory, which had once been home to trillions of intelligent beings, was now empty space, waiting for human colonists. Earth's government established the colonial administration to manage the captured territory. The few alien survivors were relocated to work camps, where they would spend the rest of their lives serving human interests. The message was clear to every species in the galaxy: threatening humanity would result in complete extinction. Other alien civilizations, watching from the safety of distant star systems, quickly reached the same conclusion. Within weeks of the campaign's end, Earth began receiving diplomatic messages from species they had never heard of before. All of them carried the same basic message: we want to be friends with humanity. The Altarian Empire, which controlled nearly 50 star systems, sent a formal treaty offering Earth's exclusive trading rights and military cooperation. The Vegan Confederation proposed a mutual defense pact that would guarantee human protection in exchange for access to Earth's new territories. Even the mysterious Shadows, a species so advanced that they rarely communicated with younger civilizations, sent envoys to establish diplomatic relations. President Carter addressed the transformed world in a speech that was broadcast to every corner of the globe and transmitted to alien civilizations across the galaxy. 18 months ago, our diplomatic team went to Nexus Station seeking peace and friendship, she said. They were murdered in cold blood by aliens who thought humans were weak and easily conquered. Today, those aliens and their entire civilization no longer exist. She paused and looked directly into the camera, her voice becoming harder and more determined. Let this serve as a warning to any species that might consider threatening. Earth, we are capable of great friendship and generous cooperation with those who treat us with respect. But we are also capable of total destruction when our survival is threatened. The choice is yours. The speech was heard by billions of aliens across hundreds of worlds. The message was received and understood perfectly. Humanity had claimed its place among the galactic powers, not through peaceful negotiation, but through the complete annihilation of those who had dared to threaten their existence. Ambassador Kane's death, which was meant to demonstrate human weakness, had instead unleashed a fury that shook the entire galaxy. The species that had thought themselves superior to humans were now extinct. Their worlds colonized by the very people they had tried to enslave. Earth's transformation from a peaceful, diplomatic civilization to a galactic superpower was complete. The humans had learned a harsh lesson about the realities of interstellar politics, and they had taught an even harsher lesson to anyone who might threaten them in the future. The galaxy would never be the same.